Hello everyone. I'm going to expand upon a little bit of my living mandala meditation, and I'm going to share that with you now. So here we go, a poetic consolidation of the living mantra of mandala. What I've been living is not an escape from reality, but a return to it. I see now that the mandala I once contemplated is not a symbol outside of me, but the pattern my life has always been expressing. The golden geometry is my capacity for clear seeing, structure, choice, containment, awareness. The petals are the living currents of feeling, intuition, memory, and creativity, finally allowed to move without fear. When these two stop competing and begin cooperating, something quietly emerged between them. No achievement, no identity, but integrated presence. I felt it in my body before I named it. Waves moving through my nervous system, breath deepening, the heart recognizing itself without force. Old vigilance softened. Time loosened. Urgency lost its authority. Nothing mystical happened. Nothing dramatic needed to. What fell away were the personal goggles, the habits of measuring myself through past and future, through worth, safety, or comparison. When those lenses are relaxed, I didn't go anywhere. I noticed I had never left. Home wasn't a destination, it was the field I'd been standing in the entire time, mistaking thought for distance. From here, polarity no longer feels like a problem to solve. Light and shadow, masculine and feminine, movement and stillness aren't opposing forces. They are contrast that allows experience to be felt at all. Like waves letting the ocean feel its own motion, like sound reveling silence. There is no hierarchy in this seeing, no competition, no sense of being ahead, only the quiet recognition that every person is in a different blossom of the same pattern, opening at their own pace, under their own conditions. And with that recognition comes something simple and irreversible. I don't need validation. I don't need to prove safety. I don't need to announce arrival. Being is sufficient. Presence is the clock. And experience is enough. I am not trying to become anything. I am allowing what is to be exactly what it already is. And in that allowance, life feels intimate, spacious, and oddly ordinary, which turns out to be the most beautiful thing of all. So I wanted to just share that writing today because it coincides with my idea of the constant gardener, which I'll share now with you. This is a bit of a revised vision, but I want to just state before, which is when we are immersed in our work with whatever we're doing, if it's a project, if it's a way of thinking, we can become so transfixed and super zoomed into the tool in which we are using and able to express our thought behind. So, for instance, when I'm, growing up, I had this very unregulated nervous system. So, as a result, I was in a constant state of panic. Therefore, my tool to garden with or to cultivate or to go through life with was a big, let's say, like shovel, just huge, and would do the most amount of protection and damage. And because I was in such an unregulated state within my body and my nervous system, I held on to that tool and became so identified with it, forgetting that I could release my grip from it and exchange that tool with other ones that are maybe more appropriate for the moment that comes up with different sensitivities that are needed. For instance, a hand shovel performs a different task than a chainsaw. So my inability to come into regulation imprisoned me and fused what was once a choice or a selection into the only way in which I could participate and cultivate my own garden. So the regulation of the nervous system for me is understanding that I am the constant gardener, that my garden is much bigger than not even just one plant. And there's not just one plant growing. And also there are many plants coming to fruition at different tempos and speed, depending upon the soil in which they were cultivated and maturating in. And I am the keeper of the soil, of the nutrients of it, of creating the condition so that optimum growth can and will happen. So instead of worrying about, is there anything going to even grow, what I'm tasked with remembering to let go of the particularity, the detail and whatnot. And because of this, I realize that I don't stop at just the tool that I'm using to garden with. I don't stop at just the one plant I have my focus on. I can release into the much bigger understanding and remembering that I am the constant gardener and cultivating constantly from many different things that are growing and coming to maturation at different times. So there's a big relief here, because now I'm understanding that is my regulated nervous system, is knowing that I am a gardener, actually. And I'm now able to let go of tools and pick more appropriate ones up depending upon what the plant that I'm fixating on currently needs, as opposed to trying to hold on to this one-hit wonder that worked out once and therefore that's enough. That'll work, because I'm too afraid to even let go and try another way, because I don't actually see the potential of success that actually is there, which is what fear is. Fear is the inability to see all potential. You're only tuned into potential that doesn't end well. So this is a wonderful way why, when we're in the essence and energy of our Creator, that there only is love, because the Creator can see all of our potentials now, because the Creator is outside of time and space. So because all of our potentials are realized in the now and Creator's presence, there can't be anything but love, and fear cannot exist. So, all right, so here we are, just a little bit of a constant gardener moment. So, yeah. As the constant gardener, I understand that my role goes beyond just planting seeds. It is about nurturing the soil of my mind and creating an environment where growth can thrive. I see ideas as tools that help me cultivate my inner landscape, and it's crucial not to become overly attached to any single tool. Just like a gardener adapts and chooses the right instruments for different tasks, I remain flexible and open to change. When my nervous system is regulated, I can approach each moment with sensitivity and mindfulness, choosing the right tools for the situation. However, when unregulated, I might default to using a heavy tool for everything, missing the nuances of what's truly needed. It's also important to remember that ideas, like tools, can change as the garden evolves. This adaptability allows me to continually nurture and enrich my inner world By embracing this gardener mindset, I appreciate the growth and blooming while staying open to whatever new needs may arise. It's a dance of balance, patience, and awareness, and it's about releasing any over-attachment to specific tools, remembering that I always am the gardener. So this, for me, is this huge sense of relief and ease and excitement, and this kind of responsibility of sustaining all of this. It just was an amazing moment of fixation of make-believe. I don't need to be holding the weight of the world. I just get to plant ideas and see how they come to fruition. So there's a sense of play and choice and creativity now that's been reinstated. And that's the wonderful kind of investigation that a safe environment can potentially provide to anyone. If anyone has lived in an unregulated state in their nervous system, to find brevity from that, to find release, to find peace, to find serenity, to find empowerment, to remember choice, to be able to see all of the potentials in front of you and select from love, not from pressure. This is very life-changing and will feel odd and different and off for a little bit because it is a newness. So this is some last aspect I want to add, which is when we are planting seeds in other people's minds in their fertile ground. So this is pertaining specifically for me to children. However, this can happen anytime. It's when we're giving an idea, are we sharing it for hierarchical reasons? I'm better than. Are we sharing it from a place of nostalgia of, oh, I wish I knew this? Are we sharing it to someone that even wants to hear us? Or is it unsolicited? Are we proving something versus sharing? Are we giving someone are we planting a seed in someone that is from the desire of reunification one day and of unity, of a positive polarity, as opposed to something that haunts that person and individual the rest of their life? And so it's very telling the impact of word and how word can really be timeless, because we don't know when people are recalling what we've said to them in their present moment. We don't know when our words are still being alive for someone. We don't know when we're being accessed by someone as inspiration currently. And that's not a warning, that is an awareness. A lot of these things that are said carelessly or haphazardly and not really thought of or through, people, myself included, will hold on to that as truth and take whatever you said casually so seriously in the desire to acclimate and to adjust and to fit in and to survive. And this then becomes that tool that they can't let go of, because they think this is the only way to garden and to survive and to sustain and to bear any fruit and to be of worth and substantive value, because there's also this undercurrent of doing all the time as opposed to not ever allowing yourself to be. And this is a different state too. So the beingness I'm tapping into is simply the release of attachment and over-identification of ideas that are meant to be tools for us to experience and appreciate the polarity and context and comparison and reunification of life. However, for me, I'll use myself as an example. I became so fixated on the tool that I forgot that I was a gardener. I became so fearful that I forgot that this was a game. I became so overly attached to what was happening around me that it threw me into this simulation of this is life and death, when in fact this is just experience. The the border or the boundary of this happened to me versus this is who I am was completely blurred. And every interaction for a very long time in my life, I confused as that equated to my worth or value or who I was as a person. So this mandala, this idea of the golden structure of the masculine, which is the container, and then the feminine bloom and blossoming, which is the structure that the feminine can build in and be in reference to. And then our decision making, our creative, inspirational inner child of choice and selection and tools, that's the third kind of awareness here. That dictates the design and direction. These are kind of the elements here that are fundamental that we're all doing next to each other. So we have our own personal mandala that is from our limited ego-based perspective. We also have a collective pattern or mandala that humans do in general in these circumstances or in this emotional field or something. So there's even a bigger mandala or let's say like, flower, lotus, whatever, that it's a pattern recognition. And the only thing that cannot be controlled, which is predetermined, is this regulated nervous system, because then we're coming from a place where choice isn't limited or funneled or manipulated, and we're more privy to the vastness that is the quantum field of choice, and we're in alignment and magnetizing what's already waiting to come into the physical. It's already there at the feeling level. And this is a lot of how I think the 3D is controlled. It's through this desire and ability to separate, to encourage fixation upon tools versus the remembering that they're just used to accomplish task with, but we're not the tool themselves, to support just separation in general, over-identifying, over-labeling. And when this is the case, then our actual ability to look at choice from an empowered, sovereign place diminishes, because pressure eliminates the array of choice that's always waiting for us to incorporate and partake in. It kind of concentrates it. And when that's happening, then our quantum field becomes smaller. And what we focus on, everything else will then slowly fade into the background, because the very act of focusing on something means other things must not be in focus. So it's just a very simple mechanics truth. So this is, I think, something that's much more deeper in a desire from the 3D, from people in charge. People want to make money, this kind of stuff where they want predictive data. They want to be able to tell how we are going to be making decisions, why we are. What mandalas do we create through our decisions in life? Is there pattern recognition at a group level, from sex, from gender, from orientation, from whatever, and using these points to further separate. So there's this idea that there can be control over the divine, over the awareness that is the God spark, that is not about control at all. It's about being, not doing. So there's a very uniqueness, quality within this of the micro and the macro, and the finite obsession that people have with life, forgetting that it is eternal. But the very act in trying to control the internal is an oxymoron. It will fail. However, there's so much false light here and false truth that many, many people get lost and over-identify with tools that were actually meant for pleasure, to play and to experience the remembering and reunification of self. I think it's just a really, really, a really fun place that I'm understanding now. This 369 principle 2, this is really, really, really fascinating, because the more space I'm creating within myself by releasing my grip on, past tools that, allowed survival. Now I'm left with this energy still, or space, to allow something bigger to kind of fall in and gently fill me. So I'm going to read a meditation here. It's the 369 meditation. And this has been something that really, really was shocking in the most, of course, way when I was channeling this. And we have the monad, which is like the now, the untapped potential of source. And within that, the monad has three principled components, which is the father, which is structure, just like in the golden structure of, a lotus depiction, or the seed of life, or, a mandala. Then we have the second component, which is the potential, which is the feminine, which is the womb, the pregnancy, which creation is born through. And then we have the divine child, which is the awareness of the dreamer, of the artist, of the painter, using these two things to paint with in different percentages. So we have this inner, which is 3. And then that's like kind of the center. And then we have the second ring outside of that. And that is where polarity exists. That's where personality is alive. That's where choice happens. That's where the contextual field is born and thrives from. It's this or that. And when we realize that polarity is not something bad, but they're actually the same thing, just on different ends of intensity, but the same frequency, it really allows the release of judgment, of bad feelings. Because to name something bad is a huge judgment and missed opportunity of integration. So anyway, that's another discussion. But so we have the inner circle, we have the golden cord of structure. We have the emotional wombs of potential experience of emotion here. Then we have the awareness that is driving that structure. Okay, so that's the 3. And then from the outside, where the polarity exists, again, this is now further away from the source that we all come from in proximity. So because there is a little more distance from that, then we can fall deeper into these beliefs of personality, of polarity, of this or that, because we're literally further away at a vibrational level from the source that we all come from, where there is no polarity. So the polarity is a tool, but we get over-identified with it and forget that it's something we use to experience for our enhancement. But what ends up happening is we become imprisoned by it and used by it. So anyway, so we have the first 3, mother, father, awareness, child. Then we have the ring of polarity, which is the tool used to experience. And then from there we have this or that. So we have 3, and from 3, each point here we have this or that, this or that, this or that. So that's 6 now, because we have 2 choices now shooting from each corner of our triangle. So we have 3, 6, and then 9, which is the final ring, is the decision being manifested into this or into that. Or we have the third option, which is not fully in either direction, but a percentage of both, which is designed by the awareness creating it, the individual, the personality. So this is the 3, the 6, and then the 9 that Tesla was talking about. And this is a universal principle that doesn't need words, but is the mechanics of every manifestation that we are currently privy to right now. So when we look around the world and we see everything in front of us, it was at one point a thought, including ourselves. And simply, this is all just different timings and tempos and awareness, appreciation, ability to integrate that these things are coming to fruition. They're becoming physicalized from a thought originally. So that is all that this is. These are all just different timed beliefs, ideas, and dreams that are been magnetized and manifested that we are all experiencing. Now, this explains how something like electricity is existing without our even knowing, and then once we become aware of it, then we can utilize it. That means that some of this stuff, the majority, doesn't need our approval. It just needs our inclusion for it to change our life. But it exists as is. And our ability to come into realization that it's there is contingent upon our sensitivity and our proximity and our looseness with polarity. So as we're able to release the over-identification of the tools in which we experience life through, we're able to then be open to different ways of thinking, things that are outside of what we already know and therefore are progressing to things that are waiting to be included. So these things waiting to be included are another version of this quantum field of things that are all in existence right now with feeling. And depending upon what we focus on, we bring in through that feeling. So physicalization of something is actually the last stage of manifestation, not the first. It's the last. The first is in the ether. The first is in the feeling. The first is something that is real in a different realm. And the fascinating part about what we get to do as creators here is to bring something that is yet to be physicalized into the physical. And that's what, for me, I'm understanding and remembering that there's so much ease now. There's so much joy. And the timing is irrelevant. And how it comes in is irrelevant. But it's the feeling that is concentrated, which is emblematic of our very life, because we were a thought and we've been physicalized. So we were in the quantum field of Source. We were just an idea. But because Source focused on us in such a way, we became materialized. Source magnetized us into existence. And we are magnetizing things within our own quantum field also into existence. So that is a very, very interesting micro-macro happening all at once. And remember that everything we see is just an accumulation of past manifestation that is finally caught up. There are more things coming to us that we have yet to see materialize, but are in motion coming to us from the gravitational pull that is Earth being magnetized to us from feeling. And there are things right now in this moment that we are creating that are coming to us whenever. The only thing is that when we shift at a magnetized gravitational energetic level, when our thoughts are actually not over-identified with and there's a looseness and therefore our perspective can grow and build, we more and more understand that whatever we've wanted or manifested is not actually a fit any longer, and they will come and go. But what truly is something that is timeless is a state of a nervous system that is regulated, a place where we can always see all of our choices at once that we can focus on, a place where we're not from pressure constantly living in to make selection to enjoy life. This is the sort of stuff now that we get to utilize once in creator mode. And creator mode is really alignment mode, because again, all these things already are in existence at a feeling level. So I hope this gives a little bit of solace and comfort to anyone, because it really allows the release of responsibility of bearing all of reality in just your own mind, of the weight of the world. What we're responsible for are our options in which we select just choice and decision from. That's it. Is it from a neutral, calm place or not? What are we magnetizing to us? What are past prayers that are being met right now, that are coming into physicalization, that no longer fit? Does that come in the way of people? Does that look like a different environmental change? Does that look like, you know what, everything that comes to me that I wanted, I can't even hold on to. I can't sustain it because I don't have the foundation in which to hold it. I might be wishing for my crown chakra to be activated and to have all money and blah, blah, blah. But when it does come to me, I can't sustain it. I can't anchor it in because I'm trying to skip some sort of step to what? There's no race. There's literally no race. There's none. So when that is felt, when that is known, when that is remembered, time completely changes its tempo. And where and why we're manifesting completely changes as well too. It is about a calm selection of what one wants to consciously experience more of, as opposed to being ping-ponged around like a like a pickleball, just like, oh fuck, and life is just like, swatting you around, and you're just trying to, just trying to regulate and try to calm it. And that there is a freedom here when you just stop getting bitch slapped around by the game, and you're like, okay, I'm good actually. And then you realize that, there's a whole court that is life, and the game is just one corner of that. So it's all waiting again for us to include all of it. Everything is waiting for us to think about and then to incorporate. And the more we include and fixate and examine, then that's what our life experience is going to bring, through confirmation bias, through the inability to see something more because we're so blown into, zoomed into something. These are innate qualities that are how worlds change and are built and are shifted. It's our fixation, our microscopic ability and obsession and to zoom in and passion and devotion. But is it in the polarity of neutrality or good or bad or this or that? Because then that falls into, obsessiveness, addiction versus devotion, So there's this fine line again that there's not a good or bad innate quality in any emotion. It's the person using it, remembering it, that it's a temporary tool to go and experience something through and with, and we can release it. So I guess that's kind of the biggest thing I want to impart today, is just that the sovereignty, the empowerment, the remembering of choices, of what is it exactly that we are utilizing all the time to experience life through. Is it an old program that worked out once, and because it worked out once, we're holding on to it for dear life because we don't think there's another way to experience it? Or are we at a place where we're relaxed and we have trust and we're remembering that, oh my God, I have all these other emotions that I can utilize to see the world through. I have all these other ideas I haven't had the luxury to let resonate within me yet. I have all these other aspects and people and viewpoints that I have yet to stress test and to collaborate and to compare and to contrast with, and it's so delicious. And furthermore, all of this is temporal. All of this. It is a pleasure. It is a privilege to be on this planet. It is not a right. It is not something that is to be rushed through, because here we actually get to have this experience of time. When we're out of here, there is no time. So this is the place that is the break from eternity. It's here. It's on Earth. Because yes, as we're finding the nowness in the way that we've hidden it for discovery now, that's one thing. But when we're coming back into the remembering of our true essence and reunification at some capacity with Source, at least out of time and space, we realize that life is a break from eternity. Life is, not the other way around. And that allows us to hold on to the remembrance that this is luxury to be here. This is not a prison. This is not a sentence. This is not something that's inherently bad or good, because those are points of perspective that are trapped, usually due to lack of information. But if that's what one focuses on and thinks life is about, that is what one will experience. So that's the power of our giving meaning to things. And that's why the most unconditional thing that our Creator really did was to not make anything have inherent meaning, so we could prescribe meaning to it the way that we decided to paint upon it. There is no right or wrong. It's just experience. It's just expanse. And when that is really felt, a lot of self-judgment is going to fall off. A lot of, oh my God, I didn't miss the boat. There's no boat. There's literally no boat. Oh, fuck, why was I rushing through that? If you understand at a fundamental level your value, you will not rush through any part of you at all. You're just not going to do it. And it's not that you have to feel overwhelmed with, I have to do all this shit different. There has to just only be one factor that can shift, which will naturally redirect everything. And that is my intrinsic value, remembering that I am my own mandala, that this is all for fun, that this is just, my life is like a book that I just picked up, and I am so enthralled by it, I can't even put it down. And I'm at a place where now, like, you know what, that was kind of a hot mess, and I put the book down, and as I'm putting the book down, I realize, oh my God, that's Paul right here, that's my life. And I look around and I'm like, my God, I'm the author, I'm the reader. But the safety is actually in this room. It's actually on this bed. I have not left anywhere, just only in thought. But I can go back in here and not be gripping the pages for dear life. I can read it with a relaxed, open hand because I know that it's just to enjoy timelessness. All right, so that's enough for today, I think. I hope you're all well. And yeah, big lots of love to all of you, and wishing you a continued wonderful